Hey everyone, what's up? Nick here again. So, on Bytes of Ingenuity, we're interested in people who are working with digital technologies to complement humans, both developing forms of AI to improve worker productivity, augment human capabilities, and to provide better, more usable information for decision making. Today's guests are doing just that within education. Joining us are Barakat Diab and Elie Nahas, co-founders of the e-learning company Augmental. The learning platform they've developed turns traditional teacher-centric models of education on their head, using AI to personalise students' learning paths. By tailoring course material to each student's abilities and learning style, this adaptive learning model helps students stay engaged and achieve better results. In this episode, we discuss how personalisation enhances learning outcomes, how AI edtech platforms help teachers, and the need for holistic change within public education. We also learn about the story of Augmental and how the company has navigated Lebanon's financial collapse and grown. Let's go. So the story of Augmental is kind of punk. There's like this strong DIY ethic of just, getting up and finding a solution, doing it yourself. And you've developed a product that's kind of about non-conformity. It's about tailoring each student's learning experience to their strengths and finding a way to bring the best out of them. To kick off this episode, I thought it would be good for you guys to just tell me a bit about how Augmental came about and how you guys ended up working together.
Sure. So Augmental first started as a personal story where I struggled during my last couple of years at school, and I was unable to fit the educational system where all students are expected to learn the same thing the same way. And then that stayed with me until I met Elie. And one night we were studying for our exam at university, and we were trying to explain a topic for each other, and then each one was seeing it in a different way, and then we were discussing how even the professor explained it in a third way, and then we're like, in education they expect us to give us the same material and the same instructions and for us to learn. And then this is where we started to look into the personalization in education, and we discovered that everything got personalized except for education. And then that was the initial idea behind Augmental, and started researching the market and started working on the product.
Yeah, and we started by iterating throughout the process of personalization, by checking for each individual how we should tailor the material, how we should adapt it, because at the end each one learns by its own. Everyone has its own, let's say, profile, its own background, so we need to adapt the material for them. So this was also a tough decision to take, how to personalize, how to adapt it, and to take into consideration the education and pedagogical also approach for each individual in order to be able to adjust that.
So how's the sort of product grown and evolved over this period of time? Like, what was the first viable product that you had, and what did it look like, and then how has it come to where it is now?
Well, very interesting question, because the first product that we had, definitely we focused on the value proposition, which is personalization of the learner journey. And we had a product that was primarily targeting educational institutions at the time. And it was more of a learner product where once the course is created, the AI would personalize the learning path depending on learning style, learning level, and learning pace of the learner. And then with time, this has changed because of a lot of factors, including the market dynamics, readiness of the market in the region as well, where we're based. And now the product is more of a product that is for educational institutions, but also for content creators and course creators to build their online learning experience. So
because it's not just for school, so you continuously learn throughout your life. So it's school, university, corporate. So this is the lifelong learning. So this is where you need to adapt for each one in order to personalize the experience for everything they're doing.
And when you were both at university, did you find that there were many other students who faced that same sort of challenge of struggling with a kind of rigid curricula and way of learning?
Yeah, it has always been the case. Like looking at students with us at university, at school, even after that in the working environment, trying to learn new things. Each one learned in a different way and provided with the same material. It's in each learning environment. It's not just for schools. And this is why we're a lifelong learning platform. So we're across schools, higher education, but also continuous training.
So if you could explain a bit to me what's going on behind the scenes when the platform is tailoring the content and the learning journey, like how does that work, and how does it understand what suits me best in terms of content and learning style?
Yeah, first of all, once a learner logs in into the platform, so we start by building a profile for each user. So this profile gets updated throughout the journey. So while you are learning, we are getting more data about you. We're getting more how you are behaving, how you are answering the questions. Let's say, what is your favorite style? Are you more inclined toward reading, let's say, a text, watching a video, or checking an image, listening to an audio? So this will allow us also to adapt the material. And it's not just about the learning style. It's also how you are interacting with the material. Let's say if you get a question, you answer it incorrectly. So also we adapt the material for you. So the AI will interfere and assist you in real time. If you answer the specific, let's say, answer wrong, it will adjust it. It tailors the question for you. It tailors the personalization for you. Because at the end, each learner inside the course will have different path at the end to reach the same learning objective set by the instructor.
And yeah, and you mentioned about the intervention of the AI. So on a traditional learning platform, if you're stuck on a question, right, you don't know how to answer that question, you would just choose any option there and you submit your answer to see if it's correct or not. And this is what we wanted to change also, is being able to provide in real time personalized feedback and explanation. So on Augmental, if you're stuck on a question, instead of submitting your answer, you can click on I don't know and then specify whether you don't understand the question or you don't know the answer. And once you say I don't understand the question, what the platform would do is actually go back, look at your history, look at the questions that you've answered previously related to that topic. If you spent enough time to actually review the content that is related to that, and then give you a personalized explanation on how to think while answering this question. So it's all about providing personalized explanation, feedback, and tailoring the learning path for learners. And at the end of each course is by providing personalized summaries about the course, the different reports and analytics for different stakeholders.
And it's not just AI driven. So also we provide instructors with detailed materials, reports, analytics about, let's say, each user, each individual, let's say, how they are performing on this specific learning objective or on this specific question. Because at the end, the instructor should also know what's happening, let's say, in class or what's happening in this specific course, in order also to adjust the material. Maybe there is a problem specifically in this actual material, so they can adjust it in order to also to provide a better course for the end user.
Right, so the AI helps the teacher identify where students are struggling potentially, or where their material hasn't really explained the issue or the topic well enough, whilst the AI also helps revise certain issues based on what you're struggling with or you've identified you're not so sure on, and then kind of takes you back on a path that reframes the problem. Is that accurate summarization?
Yeah, it is accurate. And when we say it's an AI-powered learning platform, it is AI-powered for both the educator and the learner. So from an educator perspective, it helps accelerate the content creation process, enriching existing material using AI, providing different reports and analytics to be able to understand what is happening. And from the learner side, this is the personalization. So, we believe that the teacher role is very important. And this is why we provide these reports and analytics to empower the educators to take informed decisions.
It's not just about taking a course. So maybe after, let's say, taking a course or after finishing school, so you have assignments. So also when it comes to assignments, so it will also, the AI will help the instructor to generate, let's say, specific assignments for this individual user based on what happened, let's say, inside this course. So it's not a standard assignment for everyone to do for, let's say, for like next day or to be delivered.
I suppose some critics might say that the AI would be like tailoring the learning path to your strengths a bit, like in terms of like you know it delivers you what you're good at. Is that false?
It could, if you implement it in a way where you're not challenging the learner constantly. So the way we've built it is to make sure that the student is not always in their comfort zone, right? It's not about just giving the content the way they are more comfortable with their learning style and their level. It's always about, each learner should know how to learn a text, how to read a text and extract information and answer questions, right? So you cannot just avoid that by always giving visuals. So the platform makes sure to use different learning styles with the learners, challenge the learners throughout the journey, providing different difficulty levels of questions and materials to make sure the student is always challenged. So definitely AI can be used to tailor it in a comfortable way for the learner, but this is not how we've built it.
And so if I'm understanding correctly, then the main sort of competitive advantages of Augmental are the tailored learning path leading to better learning outcomes for students and higher engagement, as well as the ability for teachers to have real-time analytics to see the performance of their students and respond accordingly. Plus, I read about also the AI model helping them actually design the course as well.
Exactly. So depending on learning outcomes and objectives of your course, the AI can even help you by providing you these learning outcomes and objectives based on your course context, and then will help you in lesson planning, content generation, content enrichment if you already have some content, and then question generation. So it helps you throughout the process and helps you save time on content creation and course design.
Yeah, also it will reduce, if you want, the complexity of creating courses. So one of the features that we'll be introducing soon is you can, let's say, if you have a certain PowerPoint, you have a certain, let's say, file, or let's say you have a webinar. So you just upload this material and the platform will take, let's say, the presentation and will break it down and create a full course for you based on that. Even, let's say, if you have a certain video, so it will break it down, let's say, every 2 minutes, it will create a content for that or direct the questions in order to make sure that we're facilitating the course creation for instructor, especially for instructors who are not yet familiar, let's say, with technology, or if they want to create the content, how to create it, how to adapt it. So we are also facilitating that journey for them.
Cool. Is that done through LLMs? What was the technology behind that?
Yeah, so we're using we have our own, we're using our own, let's say, LLM trained on certain, let's say, material. And we're also using OpenAI, Gemini, or also AWS, because we need to provide the most accurate content for them based on what they need, let's say, we need to implement. And also when it comes to personalization, we also cross-reference between different models, because as we know, that certain LLM might give, let's say, a certain wrong answer or context for this specific requirement. So also we take that, we cross-reference across multiple LLM to make sure the content we're providing is accurate for this specific use case.
Okay, so it's pulling content for training material from the various different LLMs plus the material you feed it.
Yes.
Plus your own one.
Yes. And also if you are a publisher who has content, so what we do is we train the LLM based on content you have. So it will be just for you. And the content the instructor going to use this specific publisher will be trained, will take the data from trusted content.
So you guys started Augmental around 2018, and shortly after Lebanon had its financial collapse. Starting a business is hard at the best of times, and some might say it's a little bit mad to start one when you have like everything going on that's happened in Lebanon, defunct banking sector, runaway inflation. How have you managed to navigate starting a business in that context and growing it to where it is now?
Yeah, so we started in 2018 developing the product, and in 2019, I remember very well, February 2019, we signed the first school using the product, and we were starting to look at more schools to use it, and we started finalizing deals for the next academic year. And this is where actually the economic crisis started, followed by COVID, and then the whole situation that was not just in Lebanon, but it was a worldwide pandemic. And during that time, we're a local company that was working on from day one on an international product, because being based out of Lebanon is very good because it gives you the right market to experiment, but you always think international because you know that your market is small. So you need to build a flexible product. You cannot build a product that's just for Lebanon because the Lebanese market is never enough if you want to grow your business. So we had that in terms of product. What we struggled with is definitely what every business struggled with during the economic crisis, which is the money being in the bank, our customers, all of them being based in Lebanon. So even their purchasing power went down. So we had to start thinking how to move outside. And this is where we actually moved to Abu Dhabi. We moved through a government-funded program done by Hub 71 in Abu Dhabi. And this is where we moved there. We started thinking how can we grow in the region and internationally from there. And yeah, that was the move that we did to be able to start growing and expanding.
Yeah, but definitely also it was a challenge because it's a new market, new country. So we don't have any connection yet. So we need to build that trust, to build that connection in order also to target that market and to start expanding there.
So you had other support along the way as well. I read that you won several competitions, prize funds, and places on startup accelerator incubators, including ones run by Microsoft and Amazon. So how would you say these experiences shaped where Augmental is today?
So we took a decision from the beginning to not to raise funds until we're sure that we have a product that people are using and willing to pay for it. So what we did at the beginning was purely bootstrapping, and then we were participating in different competitions, winning some of them. We've raised, I would say, a good amount out of competitions that allowed us to build the product at the beginning. And then definitely the different accelerators and incubators and programs that we've been through, whether we started here in Lebanon at Smart Eza, and then in Abu Dhabi with Hub 71, and then the latest one was with AWS in Seattle. So all of those supporters, all like along the way, allowed us to shape the technology, the business strategy. But there's a very important factor other than those programs are our advisors. So
yeah, I wanted to mention that because since day one, we had our advisors and mentors when it comes to technical, business, sales. Also, they had the previous an actual startup. So without them, we won't be able to be here or to reach so far, because as you know, that the experience and the journey is you have up and downs. So you need someone to guide you. You need someone to take you, push your limits. So it's not an easy journey, but it's an exciting journey.
So your mentor was someone outside of these competitions and incubators. How did you get connected?
So actually, one of our founding members, who is one of the shareholders today in the company, connected us to two amazing mentors that they previously worked together on another startup. This is how we got connected to them. We actually, even before going into the first accelerator that was here in Lebanon, we kind of built our own accelerator with them. We went and spent around 6 months, shared the same office. There's always, when you build your advisors and your mentors, your board of advisors, there are two ways to do that. One is you bring very credible names in the industry that you're working in, which is very important. But what's really important as well is to have active advisors. So our advisors were active advisors that we could seek their help and advice at any point in time. And this really helped us to learn and iterate faster, even if that means sometimes failing faster, learning faster, and being able to reach what we reached.
Yeah, and till now, every week we have a meeting with our advisors to move forward. So since 2018, so on a weekly basis, we have a meeting with them in order to adapt, because it's not just about the startup or the product, it's all about the people also. So we need to make sure that we build the right leadership in order to lead the team, to lead the company, to know how to think outside the box, not just, let's say, to focus in order to bring more value and to innovate.
So it's about a combination of things, having the kind of financial support that you get from competitions, from accelerators, plus the kind of network and ecosystem that's around the entrepreneurs in a particular country that helps you build that network of people who can mentor you and take you to where you want to be. And so now I read on your LinkedIn, Elie, that Augmental is now in 11 countries and used by over 300 institutions. I don't know if it's been updated, those stats are now higher, but that's a pretty huge thing to have achieved since January 2024. So obviously you're looking to expand further, and you told me before the people who are putting material on the platform or using the platform are covering a wide range of topics from legal, tech, STEM, project management. And I imagine growing the user base involves reaching out to various educational institutions and training partners. Are you at this stage sort of approaching anyone and everyone in that space, or are you in any way trying to guide the kind of content that is being developed on Augmental and sort of playing a curatorial role?
Yeah, so before January, so we're more into B2B model. So we're directly, let's say, approaching, let's say, institutions or content creator in order to create, let's say, content and to inside their institution and to train their, let's say, employees or students. Back in January, so what we did is we launched our SaaS model. So actually, any content creator or let's say instructor wants to launch their own online academy. So they can go into our website, subscribe, start the free trial. Then it's a monthly subscription where they can create their own academy, use AI to create their courses, to support their learner, personalize their experience. So mainly our target audience is more content creator or instructor who wants to teach online, who wants to create courses, who want to monetize their courses. So this is mainly our target.
From the SaaS model, that's the target. And we still do have the B2B that is targeting the educational institutions. And with the recent acquisition of Augmental by CME, also we have now a wider range of products for educational institutions, including a student information system. So we now cover a larger scope for educational institutions as well. So we do still have the B2B that is targeting educational institutions. And on the SaaS model that Elie was talking about, it's more the individual content creators, smaller training academies, people who wants to build their online learning experience and start monetizing their content. This is where they go.
Thinking back to your origin story, to the unsupportive school teacher who didn't know how to bring the best out of you, it really touches on a problem related to the culture of teaching and of the system of education. And there was this good report put out by the Carnegie Middle East Center a couple of years ago on education in the Arab region. It critiqued how in Lebanon and in the region more broadly, education is done through a very rigid and structured system where there are standardized curricula and where the focus is very much on the teacher's delivery of the curriculum and the effectiveness of their teaching methods. The report calls it the banking model of education, where teachers deposit knowledge to their students, effectively turning them to passive learners. And so what you've built is radically different to that, right? Students are directing their learning experience themselves, and the outcomes are more learning based, and the role of the teacher is more as a facilitator than an instructor. So obviously it'd be great to see augmental and adaptive learning in public schools. And I'm not sure if that's something that you're thinking of moving towards, but given the broader system and structure of the education environment in Lebanon and the region, at least at the public sort of level, how do you sort of reconcile that tension between proposing a really new adaptive and self-directed education model within a highly top-down teacher-centric model of education?
A very interesting multi-folded question that you just asked, but it's so let me start by saying that in general, the region, not only the region, but even globally, maybe in the region a bit more, that especially pre-COVID, the market was not ready for solutions that is disrupting, the way we're teaching and learning. What happened after COVID is at least now educational institutions are willing to listen to what's happening. They want to make sure that they are always ready and they are implementing technology because they saw how technology helped them navigate this whole situation. So back then we were more focused on private schools because they were more ready than for us as a company who is trying to, start and make sure we have enough money and revenue for the company and traction. We're targeting the private sector because of the decision-making process as well is much easier than the government and the public sector. We've always thought about the public sector because this is where there's a lot of students, and we want to impact those learners as well. So our mission is to impact every learner, whether they're in the public or private sector. So public schools are definitely something that is on the roadmap. We have some projects that are upcoming, hopefully soon, for that as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that's really interesting how COVID sort of changed the readiness and the operating environment. And really, you're seeing now governments being more willingness to innovate and try solutions that they haven't used before or thought about before. But yeah, I think targeting that sector, it has to have a really holistic approach where you're working with the ministries, working with the teacher trainer academies, and maybe at sort of community level as well, making sure if it's being used in a distance learning kind of situation or blended learning situation, that there's an environment at home where people can actually learn, because that was obviously something that people struggled with a lot at COVID as well.
Yeah, and I think there's also one point that you mentioned about the curriculum being rigid. And I think this is also another point that that needs to be addressed, which is updating the existing curriculums to make sure that they answer to the shift that is happening, right? Like making sure that we equip the students with the 21st century skills. So that should change and evolve. And I think with technology, this can be done. So I think this is the start. Like we need to start changing the curriculums first, and then.
Yeah, definitely. It will take time, but we're happy for that, and we're happy to make an impact as soon as possible and to start onboarding more schools, more, let's say, users, and to do an impact on each learner.
Yeah, absolutely. You're right. Obviously, start small and prove that it works and pilot it and grow. And maybe, when that impact is seen by the public sector, by the ministries of education, they'll be willing to kind of revise the broader kind of ecosystem and method of examination and accreditation that's in place.
Yep.
Another point I was wondering, it said a lot about AI, that it frees up resources. So the more mundane tasks are done by the AI, you're able to focus more on the complex aspects or analytical side of things, or maybe it's the human side of things. So do you see Augmental fitting within that mold or trends where in the school environment, teachers have more time available to focus on other things or on the students that are struggling the most?
Yeah, sure. Definitely, it will free up time for teachers to focus on students. But it's not just about freeing time. It's personalization cannot be done without technology, because you cannot do it like, imagine you need to create the profile of each learner, understand how they learn, tailoring the material for each learner, and doing that for 30 students in your classroom manually.
Especially you have a limited time. It's 1 hour, let's say, the class. So you need to make sure that you cover all the question of each learner and to make sure that you personalize the material you're giving to each one. So it is difficult. So we're trying to remove that obstacle, and by giving them the power that you have between their hand, the analytics, the reporting, the action that say they can take inside, let's say, this course, what they can adjust, what they can, or where is the pain point, let's say, inside this course. So they have the flexibility and more time in order to adjust the materials and to make an impact, rather than trying to see how to adapt, how to make sure that everyone is aligned within this 60 minutes.
And at the moment, I know that when you started implementing or introducing Augmental in schools, it was actually within the classroom. Is that still the case, or is it more of a blended learning situation where it's being used at home and they come into the lessons for some occasions, or is it a mixed bag?
It can be used in different ways. So we've seen use cases where it's used as a complementary tool inside the classroom. So the teacher would explain, then the users would take their devices and continue using the system. And now, especially with the SaaS model that we have, that's not primarily targeting educational institutions, we have like more of a self-paced kind of learning. The platform also supports different types of hybrid learning, including having online learning on the platform through video conferencing and then the materials on the system. So it's flexible. You can apply different learning methods depending on your needs.
And finally, where do you see the future of education and ed tech going? Are there some weak signals or trends that you're watching, you've got your eyes on, you think you want to tap into?
I guess it's the community. So it's all about engagement and how you engage with them, let's say, this community, this specific, let's say, school, this university or work environment. So it's all about this, and how you also gamification. It's not the process of introducing, let's say, adding how you interact with the material. So it's all about how you're performing, how you can, let's say, take more challenge in order to get, let's say, higher scores, or to be able to better learn or to achieve more. So this is the main objective. One of the main objectives, let's say, we have is to have this.
Yeah, and one of the main trends right now, and this is why we've introduced the SaaS model, is that we're also seeing higher education institutions providing and supporting lifelong learning and providing these continuous learning opportunities for their learners. And this is a shift that we're seeing in the way people are now acquiring knowledge. It's changing. It's changing in the sense that you see in a lot of fields that people are not going anymore into the traditional way of, going through a full diploma, rather than choosing the courses that make sense, that equips them with the right skills to be able to learn. So, and we're seeing this shift happening with higher education. Another important thing is how fast learners wants to learn. So, and this is something that also a trend, which is the kind of bit-sized learning, where, now the attention span of everyone is like these 30 seconds that are on a reel or on a TikTok. And that 30 seconds, now we have to use that to also deliver learning materials, because people are now used to learn on the go and learn fast. And it's something that we need to create that balance between how learners are now learning, and at the same time that we need to transmit all that knowledge to make sure that they have the skills. So it's a very, I think this is the toughest thing to navigate at the moment, is the way learners learn versus what we need to teach them. And
in addition to what Paul mentioned, that when it comes also that we introduced a specific feature, we've been testing it with learners inside the platform. They can generate bite-sized courses, mini courses for them, tailored to them based on their profile, based on historical data about how they are performing. They can go and input, let's say, okay, I want to learn about this scientific project. So they can input this, and it will create for them content, courses specifically for them when it comes to questions and the courses, actual material, to make sure they can learn, let's say, between this 10 to 15 minutes, what they want to learn.
Yeah, so personalisation to capture people's shrinking attention spans. But it's really crazy that there's the challenge that now teachers are facing to actually communicate and educate people with really complex topics in sort of 15 minutes or even less, or 30 seconds on TikTok stars.
And imagine it was even crazier before, because, like in the past couple of years, because we were like, students are used to use technology at home every day. And then when you go to school or to the classroom, they're not allowed to use technology, right? They're not allowed to use their phone, their mobiles, their laptops. So you're taking them out of what they're used to, and you have to learn that way. And everyone is listening to someone lecturing them. So that is changing, and I think we're at a stage where we have to actually adapt. We cannot keep on trying to teach them the same way. And I think technology and AI specifically is able to do that change. So yeah.
Right, so meeting them where they are much more.
Yeah.
Final question then. Are you as hyped about teaching in the metaverse as Zuckerberg is?
For me, it's a bit early. It's not the right time, because I'll tell you, because once we started Augmental also, we've also tried to introduce the idea of augmented reality, virtual reality. So also you can, let's say, when you are in the lab, so you can do everything in virtual reality. So we tried to do the best, but it was early. So then we shut it down because the market wasn't ready. So I believe in metaverse still early.
It's on the way, but it's early. I think for many reasons. One is the cost of acquiring such technologies, the cost of building such technologies at scale, like for all courses, for all subjects. Like this is the challenge, and this was the challenge that Elie was talking about. Like when we started with virtual reality and augmented reality, when we wanted to build those materials for like one topic, it used to take a lot of time, a lot of money to build that. Imagine doing it for the full curriculum for all grades. Like it's insane. So I think we're going there. It's just not the right time.
We need to make sure, at least at the first phase or stage, so schools or university, to start using technology, then let's say to adapt it, then in order to move to the metaverse. Because from non-technology into directly going into metaverse, it is
right,
difficult.
Yeah, there's already quite serious like digital divides and people not having access to basic technologies. It's premature to be thinking about VR metaverse. All right, thanks very much for your time and for sharing your insights and thoughts. It's been a real pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thank you
for your time.